right, we are live. Hey y'all, how y'all doing out there this evening? It's your favorite dark-skinned chick, Rashida Strober, aka the world's first dark-skinned activist and the inventor of dark-skinned activism. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Today, y'all know what the topic is. We got a white lady, and of course, she's just not just a white lady. So Kim, you could tell everybody who you are and say whatever you want to say. We just have a little conversation here, a little talk.
My name is Kim. I'm from Chicago and living in Arizona now, but grew up in Chicago in a real diverse area. And I just, I was drawn to Rashida because a lot of my experiences, being white, I sort of have privy to a lot of what, white people say when, Black people basically aren't around too. And a lot of white racists, they assume that because I'm white, that I feel the same way they do, which has caused me to really get into a lot of confrontational situations, I guess you could say, But, I really remember growing up in school, and what sticks out in my mind the most is, in, first and second grade, just like, the kids that were like the darker skinned, and one girl in particular, it was awful. She was a dark skinned little girl, but her last name was Blackman, Tina Blackman. So the kids really went wild with her because her last name, Blackman, and her being dark black. So she just got like tormented. And I was tortured, and it just like I knew it was wrong, and I couldn't understand it though. I to this day I don't get it. So that's just one of my experiences. And it just seemed to be like the darker somebody's skin was, the worse they were treated. And I've seen this all my life.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like, and I'm glad you being honest about it, because a lot of white people, Black people, Mexican people, whatever color people, I'm trying to get back to the so y'all know that if y'all see me like looking around, it's because I'm on my computer trying to get back to the chat box to see if people have. But a lot of white people see this happen. They don't understand it. They know it's wrong, but they won't say nothing about it.
And I'm guilty of that too, actually. When I was younger, I definitely didn't speak out. I was really too scared to. But I knew it was wrong, And so the older I got, I guess the more I felt like I had to say something. I think anytime we see wrong, we're accountable to do something. But people, with any kind of abuse, people just sort of sit by the wayside. They don't say anything. They, I don't understand it, because the older I get, the more my voice, is definitely louder against it. And that's why, like, when I found your channel and I seen people that said you were crazy and didn't agree with you, I'm like, well, I thought it was common knowledge that this happened. I mean, really? So that I don't get the denial. I mean, well, I guess it makes sense because it hurts less if you think it's not happening, but I don't get it.
Well, it's the big elephant in the room that, like I like to always say, that's going on with the Black community, y'all. And a lot of y'all already know this. A lot of y'all watching. There's a lot of Black people watching. They know this already. Yeah, it's the big elephant that's in the room that a lot of Black people do not want to talk about. And now we got the internet, so now you got a situation where people can come out and share their stories and talk about it over the internet, and kind of like doing it in the confines of their own home, hiding behind the computer screen where they don't show their face, or they're using the internet to to vent these things that they want to say that's been going on a long time. So the internet kind of giving. Go ahead.
No, that's been a great help. That's true. And getting back to Tina, I remember, it wasn't only the white people making fun of her; it was the lighter skinned Black people, which that really freaked me out too. And it happened. Oh God, I still feel sorry for her to this day, because she was just a little girl. She was so pretty too, and she was, she hardly ever looked at people. You could see, I didn't realize that as a kid, but looking back, it was like she literally was ashamed, and it's just like, oh my God, you know what? I just, oh my God, it makes me want to cry, seriously, because that was crazy to me, And I just wonder what happened to her, because, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get like all emotional. was really
Oh, wow.
sad. But yeah, just like thinking of a poor innocent child to be picked on because of something like that. I don't get it. It's just wrong.
They don't have no control over. Yep.
Yeah,
You're right. I've seen it. You talk about the kids and stuff. I've seen it happen when I was substitute teaching. I've seen it over and over and over and over again in school. Like, it's real bad. Like you said, the children that are picked on, it does something to them. To the point where it makes them like they can't look a person in the eye, or their confidence is depleted.
Yeah, totally.
And then that carries on with them later on in life, where they have problems. Some of them have problems coping, and they develop you have to develop a thick skin, and what you have to do is develop ways of coping. So, and when you said that about this little girl not looking people in the eye, I used to be like that.
Oh,
please forgive me, because what's going on here is every time I come on the internet, my computer starts to go real slow and freeze up. I'm trying to get the chat box is what I'm trying to do here, so that I can see people's comments, and my computer is acting up so bad to where it's giving me a hard time getting to the link, because I was wanting to see what people's questions were. So that's why y'all see me doing all of this. But yeah, so but going back to the little girl, I was that little girl. I would after I realized that people was, they didn't like my skin tone and they thought I was ugly because of it, and they was going to do everything in their power to make me feel bad about it. It did affect my confidence and my self-esteem. Looking people in the eye. It's all about confidence. And if you got people, if you have a situation where people are treating you bad, that's definitely going to impact your confidence. And then when you grow up and you're living in the world as a dark-skinned person, whether it be a woman or a man, you second guess yourself, and you have to, like, I've had to work for years to overcome that.
Oh my God.
So I understand exactly what you're saying. If I just cut me off at any time, I know I talk.
No. I mean, well, it's like a part of you must get like, it's like tearing away at your being. It takes away from who you are. I mean, I'm sure, and it's really like a phenomena when you think about it, because it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Like, I'm looking at you right now and I'm trying to figure out what is it about your skin that people don't like, because I don't look at it like that. I don't see your dark skin as something negative, but I know other people do.
Right.
It's almost a mystery to me.
And well, the honest truth about it, the origins of Darkism, it comes out of our experiences as Black people in America in terms of slavery, in terms of when we came into contact with Europeans in the slave trade. And so that's really the origin of where dark skin was devalued. Look back into slave times, you see that they felt like the darker you were, that you could handle the sun, for example. And then that's why a lot of times you had the darker skinned people out in the fields, and then you had the light skinned people in the house. You got they call the field Negro and the house Negro.
I just seen a video on that. Yeah, that's amazing. And I never knew that. But yeah, that's true. It does. That's its origin, is back from the slave days, because the lighter you were, the closer you were considered to white also. So then you were more accepted.
Exactly. So with acceptance came privilege. With acceptance came privilege. And that's the thing. We as Black people internalize that. We internalize that a darker a person is, they're not going to have as much privilege. So that's why we talk about the relationship between Black men and Black women. You see a lot of Black men, not all now, I'm not saying all y'all out there watching.
Right.
That prefer lighter skinned women, especially as the men get more money and more status and more education, because they associate that with privilege. So, it's a legacy that goes back to slavery. But the thing with me, I clearly understand where it came from. The issue is now, okay, it's here, let's acknowledge it and quit pretending that darkism doesn't exist, and then let's solve the problem. So someone made a comment. I just wanted you to know this. I'm going back to the comment box. I made it there. She says, saving me. I love when whites, especially the women, are honest.
Oh, that's good.
I could definitely appreciate that as well, because like she said, a lot of people, they're not honest. They just lie and they won't tell the truth. It's like, go ahead.
Even almost try to justify it like it's okay, you know? I mean, they either deny it or they justify it too. And it's just like, oh, that's just the height of ignorance there. When they try justifying it, it's like unbelievable, you know? But wow, I really learned something, because I didn't realize about it originating all the way back to the slave days. But yeah, I mean, because I just saw a video on that and I didn't make that connection, but oh my God, that's really amazing when you think about it. I mean, so that makes your campaign even so much more valid.
Yeah, I mean, that's the historical origins of it. You know, people have criticized me for not speaking on going into the actual history of it, but my whole thing is to deal with it in modern times. We know what the history. Actually, I do have a video that I created. It was up on YouTube about 2 years ago. It's called something to the effect of the historical origins of why Black men prefer light-skinned women. So it's there where I actually break it down and go back to the origin being in slavery. So it's like people have to go back and, well, okay, I took the video down. Y'all, those of you that y'all know what's going on. Y'all know why. And I'm trying not to get into that. I'm trying to stay on topic. But anyway, the video was up there explaining that in the Portuguese, one of the things that they did, going back to the legacy of Darkism and its relationship to history, one of the things that they did was they intentionally intermarried with the African women to create what they called a buffer race. This stuff is historical. You guys can anybody can go do research and they're going to find out what I'm saying is the truth. To help them to control the African looking people, the darker people. So that's why I'm saying the roots of darkism comes out of that historical experience.
Whoa,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, this is just like really way deeper than what I even thought. Like, I thought I knew everything about the subject, but this is really like more than experiences and more than skin preference. You know, it's, wow, that's really bad. You know, like that is a serious
economic
fact.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you just said, you were saying it's more than preference and all this stuff. Yeah, you're right. I was just agreeing with you on that point. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
Y'all didn't cut me off at any time. But that was just an excellent point that you made, because that proves one of the points that I was saying in the book about darkism, the idea of systemic economic darkism. It leads into economics. It causes problems for dark-skinned people economically.
Right.
So, you know, that's a huge problem, y'all. And if you get the book, and if you go to the dark skin glossary of terms, and I open right up to it. Ain't that something? Oh my God. Economic darkism, which is a deeply rooted system where mechanisms are put in place to impede dark-skinned people from economic progress through policies and practices of socioeconomic marginalization, including but not limited to social exclusion, economic exclusion, educational exclusion, and the criminalization of dark-skinned people. So, for example, the prison study that was done by Villanova, where they spoke about dark-skinned women getting longer, they didn't speak about it, they did research about it and showed that dark-skinned women get longer prison sentences than non-dark-skinned women.
Oh my.
Yeah, the studies are there. I mean, that's what I've been telling people, like, this is why darkism is not only based on Rashida's world's first dark-skinned activist personal experience, it's based in solid historical evidence and proof. It's there.
Yeah.
But people don't take the time. That's why I'm glad you're here. People are not going to take the time to go and read it. They rather hear things from the horse's mouth. So that's why I'm glad that you're here, willing to share what you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is just the beginning for me. I'm going to start making more videos because I definitely want to speak out more. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's
awesome.
Oh, wow. That just really has me freaked out still about the origins of it. That's awful when you think about it. God.
It is.
That.
Yeah. It's
on the terms of like the beauty hierarchy, and I know you've gotten attacked for that people say the stupidest things like, oh, you're trying to force people to find darker skinned women more attractive. And that is so stupid. And I'm like, that's totally not what you're doing. And I get that. And I don't see why they don't get that. They're just looking at it so topically,
Exactly. It has nothing to do with, not in my mind where I'm trying to force anybody to do anything.
Right.
But what people need to understand is that through, like I said, going back to slavery and going back to coming all the way up to the experiences that we have now in terms of the media images and propaganda, they have been forced to find dark-skinned women ugly. It's the reverse of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to force someone to see dark-skinned women as beautiful, if you're going to make that argument, then you have to make the same argument that you already been forced to see dark-skinned women as not beautiful, which I could prove that. I could do a whole, the plagiarist. Okay, hey, plagiarist out there. How y'all doing?
For real. Well, one thing pops in my mind about that as far as like the media in Hollywood. Wasn't there a movie recently that was about a dark-skinned woman, but it was played by a light-skinned woman?
Yeah. Nina Simone. I'm talking about Nina Simone.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was it.
Nina, Zoe, and I always think I mess up this woman's name. And if I do, I'm sorry. But I do think that she's, being very disrespectful and even accepting the role. Zoe Saldana. I think that's how you say her last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, she and Nina Simone. Now, some people don't argue with me and claim that she was the first dark-skinned activist, but she wasn't a dark-skinned activist. She never called herself that. But the thing about Nina Simone is she did experience Darkism.
Oh, yeah.
She went through hell. I read her book back in 2000. I Put a Spell on You. And she talks about, the issues, she doesn't like go into detail, but she talks about it as a part of her experience. And Nina Simone had this, her nose,
right,
is not my people say I got a ugly nose and whatnot, and a lot of people say it's a white nose. I don't understand what they say, but I'm trying to make the point of Nina Simone nose doesn't look like mine. It's kind of like it's a more African type nose.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then it's like a big wide nose, but to me I think it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then she has the big lips and the high cheekbones and the dark skin. This woman is like, man, Nina Simone is a freaking work of art. She is the real on what it is to be Black. Like, she is the real representation of a Black woman. And she caught hell for how she looked. And to have this Zoe light skin, straight hair. I mean, these people are insane. Zoe is insane. Zoe is different.
Yeah, that was really weird. Yeah, I didn't get that either. I mean, she didn't even resemble her at all. So, yeah. So that was a good example of it in Hollywood.
Right. Yeah, they had to put paint on her face to make her darker.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it? I'm not, go Google this. It's all over. They had to put paint on this. Like, why? That should tell them something right there. But they don't care. It's all about making money.
Isn't it considered like blackface then when the white people would do that? Because, oh my God. I can't believe they would do that in this time though, I mean, we're supposed to be so, progressive. So, well, Hollywood definitely has catching up to do then. I can't believe that.
It's exactly. It's like you wonder what went down. Like, does she Does she know somebody that knows somebody? Like, how? I just wonder, how in the world did she get this wrong?
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah, it definitely.
But she looks nothing like her.
Yeah, that was insane. That was so insulting too. Yeah, absolutely crazy. I can't see the comments.
I know. I'm sorry. It's like you can't see them.
Okay. I thought maybe it was my computer.
But I'll just read to you some of the comments here so you know what's going on. The Saving Me, she said, I love when whites, especially the women, are honest. And then she also said, I've seen the mistreatment of darker women as a in-between tone. I'm picked last too, but the dark-skinned racist comments are not towards me. Okay, that's interesting. She picked last, but people don't make the harsh comments. And it, like you was talking about earlier with the little girl, man, them comments, they hurt. They like, you internalize that stuff. That's why people be calling me, because I be speaking on the hurt and the pain that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because I internalized it for so long. And like you're talking about, the little girl would never say nothing.
Oh God.
It's like,
it was awful. Her comment just reminded me of something too, and I'm sure you've heard people say this, or maybe not, because maybe it's just in the white community. But whenever they would see somebody that was black and like lighter skinned, oh, she doesn't even look black, she looks white. Like that was such a compliment. And I heard that so many times. And you could tell like they didn't even think anything was wrong. And I remember growing up too, and I used to get so embarrassed because, we would have some black kids in our group, growing up, especially towards like when we were in high school and getting into our 20s, there would be a few black people that hung out with us. And I remember, some of the white kids saying to them, oh, you know what, you're like us, you're like white, you're not even black. And I'm like, oh my God, like, do you not even realize what you're saying? But the black people would never say anything. They never stuck up for themselves. I guess because they just wanted, the conformity and, the friendship. They didn't want to like make waves. But I was just like, right. Oh my God. And I seen and heard that a lot. That was so common. Oh yeah, they're white, And I'm like, oh shit. If you have a problem with them being black, why are you hanging out with them then? You know what I mean? It was so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's and someone is saying, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, someone said, I don't think white people will ever really understand Darkism. But I disagree with that, and I respectfully disagree with what you're saying. I understand why you would say that. But as Kim just stated, with the situation with the light-skinned person, the lighter-skinned person that's supposedly black, but the white people are saying that this person is closer to white. They're giving them more respect. So that shows you that white people do understand Darkism.
Yeah.
I would argue that they created it in part.
Well, that's true. Well, that's absolutely true. Of course they created it. Yeah, so definitely.
Why would you say something like that in regards to a light-skinned person if there's not clearly an understanding of the person, that there's a difference between this darker skin tone of a black person and this lighter skin tone of a black person?
Yeah.
And then they have the idea of passing, where some light-skinned blacks was able to pass for white.
Exactly.
So in my mind, I think white people do understand Darkism. I just think that they're not honest, like how you coming on here being honest and speaking on it, or the concept of someone said white people don't have to think about white privilege allows white people, not to have to think about being not white or non-white issue.
Most of them just won't admit it's wrong. I think most of them think it's okay. And especially now, I remember growing up in the 80s and it seemed like I seen a progression of racism getting less and less, at least less tolerated. But now it's getting accepted again, at least from what I see. And I don't understand it. And to me, that really scares me, because it's like we're going backwards then, but it really does. It really looks like it's totally tolerated, because I hear so many more racial slurs now that seem to be going away, but you know, and I had said that on the internet not too long ago. I said, oh, racism has made a comeback. And somebody had said to me, no, Kim, it didn't make a comeback. It's always been here. And I said, well, yeah, that's very, very true. But it just seemed like it was getting almost taboo, like people weren't tolerating it. But like I said, it just seems like now people aren't ashamed of it anymore, I think.
I kind of would agree with you. I think it's a situation where the pendulum keeps swinging. It just depends on what the season is. I mean, you have we look at the presidential the election.
Oh God, yeah.
You had Barack Obama, who to me is not a black man, even though a lot of people are saying that he's the first black. Ain't no shot at Barack Obama. It ain't no shot. It ain't no shot. He's a mixed race man. He has a white mother and a black daddy. He's mixed. Okay.
But you know,
but go ahead.
That was my. I'm sorry. I just got to say that was my favorite comeback to white people that would talk about him and totally diss him. You know, and they would always say, "Oh yeah, the black president." You know, and I said, "Well, no, he's half white. Maybe that's what the problem is." Just to like get at them, you know, because I'm like, he's actually half white.
Exactly. So how you denigrating him? You denigrating your own whiteness. Like it doesn't even make any sense.
Absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's just as much as white as he is black, even though they're probably going off that one drop rule, which I do not subscribe to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely.
When you look at the Barack Obama, President Barack Obama has been the president for the past 8 years. Now we got Donald Trump coming in.
Ooh.
And when you talk about the racism, I think that has a lot to do with it too, because a lot of racism came out in the news in regards to Donald Trump becoming, the president-elect, and whatnot. So
groups came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
exactly
really bad.
Exactly. So it's almost as if it's giving racist people a pass.
Yeah, totally.
Unfortunately for him, it's giving racist people a pass to come out and say do different racist things that they want to do. So it's like the pendulum keeps swinging back and forth. The same thing happened with Barack Obama when he was with his his presidential election and the time he's been president. You did have racist people come out, but it's just like like you said, it's always been there lurking under the scenes.
Yeah.
Now here's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. I know you said you've seen Darkism take place in a lot of different situations. One of the ways that Darkism takes, I gotta share one of my personal experience, and then I'm gonna ask you about it.
Awesome.
I have been taking care of people for the longest and helping people for the longest. I remember going, like when I was living in Los Angeles, I was taking care of this doctor and his wife one time. This man, he would tell me, he would make comments about me being dark.
Oh God.
And I had my hair in what's called sister locks. And I would have they're like what I have now, but they like real small, like what Lauren has. And I was black to him. And and in LA, you got, of course, a lot of Mexican people. So he was used to having like Mexican people come in and whatnot. And this man would make all kinds of comments about my hair and about my skin tone. And he would try to do it in like a nice way. But like if I would have my hair in a ponytail or in a style that he found appealing, he would say stuff like, "Oh, you don't look so dark today," and he would just make comments about my dark skin tone.
That's what I mean about. So okay. Yeah, they think it's okay. Yeah. They think they do, and they say, you.
Go ahead.
They think that they're complimenting you, and that's what's so stupid. They honestly think it's going to make somebody feel good that they look more white. Oh.
Yeah, because he was flirting with me, but then he would say negative things about my hair and skin tone. It was this very schizophrenic thing to me, because on the one end, you flirting and you got your wife here, and that's disrespectful. That's a whole nother conversation. But then you're disparaging darkism. That's what it was. And I thought back to that a lot.
That totally defines ignorance, because I could totally picture that. He actually thought he was making you feel good.
It was crazy, and I would just look at him like I wouldn't say no. I just give him this look, kind of get silent, and would say, and then he'll look at me and kind of like smirk like a child when they know that I did something wrong, and put their head down like that and look away. I was like, it was crazy. It was like insane. And then another thing, we talk about economics. I call it systemic economic darkism. So plagiarists out there, yeah, I'm talking to plagiarists, might be watching this live stream. If you use that term, that phrase, systemic economic darkism, you better cite me because it's in my book. But anyway, the economic part of being dark skinned is like, you can lose money. I'm telling you, you could lose money and opportunities because people just simply, they don't. Have you like seen that happen? I mean, I know it's happened, but I just want to know from you being a white woman, have you like seen it?
Unfortunately, yeah. You know, there was a company I worked for in Chicago, and I remember they didn't hire any Black people, none. And I actually still go to their website sometimes to check it out, and it's still all white, you know. And there were plenty of Black people applying. It was an internet company, you know, NetSource Communications. I don't know if I can get in trouble for that, but it's the truth though. And there was another business owner. He was actually married to a friend of mine. And he refused to hire anybody Black, anybody, you know, let alone whether they were dark or light. He just refused. And she would fight with him about it. They're actually not together anymore. And they would always debate about it, you know. And he said, and this sounded so stupid too, he had a Black employee one time. And it was like a bad experience. Okay, so I'm sure you had plenty of bad experiences with other employees that weren't Black, you know. And he just didn't get that. He thought he was protecting himself from never hiring Black people again. And so, yeah, I've seen it firsthand. Absolutely. Yeah, and I've known other people, white people, that have told me, you know, where they work won't hire Black people either, you know. And this was even. Can
I ask you a question? Because this is some inside information.
It is.
How are they saying this to each other? Are they having this actual conversation with each other?
This conversation was taking place in their kitchen. Actually, it was just me, her, and him. And she wanted me like to tell him he was wrong because he wouldn't listen to her. Yeah, that's how I got into the conversation. But he didn't get it. He didn't see it. You know, he kept justifying it by, oh, well, you know, I did give a Black person a chance before. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, so that wasn't just somebody that was a dark-skinned Black person, you know, he wouldn't hire anybody Black, you know. But as far as have I seen like where they would hire light-skinned people versus dark-skinned people, I think that we see that all the time. I mean, Hollywood is the best example, you know, because it's there in our face. I unfortunately can't think of any one particular thing except for that actress. But other than that, there's a lot of white businesses that won't hire Black people. They don't always admit to it. You know, the only time I know that I heard a business owner speak directly was at one time, you know, but yeah, so it's, oh my God, it was awful. That was a hot dog place. I can't remember the exact name of his. I don't think it's in business anymore either because he operated in a predominantly Black community. He actually used to get picketed. So, yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Because
by the way, he operated his business in a Black community, but wouldn't hire Black people?
Yeah, I am not kidding. Absolutely. And I would say 90% of his customers were Black. Yeah. Yeah.
So he operated, I got to make sure I'm hearing this right. This is a white guy that operated in a Black community, but wouldn't hire Black people. He's a damn fool.
I know. Well, that's what that's what his wife was trying to tell him, you know, because business did slowly decline. Each year it declined. And I'm pretty sure he's out of business now. Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, I'm like, God, that is so crazy, especially when you would go into the restaurant and there was like 90% Black people. So
and you got no problem. And this is the thing, we go back to slavery, the issue of darkism coming out of slavery. You got no problem with coming in and getting the money and benefiting economically from Black people, but then you won't turn over some of that. The same thing with slavery. You have the Europeans, the people that enslaved African people, had no problem with enslaving and killing and doing all these evil things that they did.
Oh yeah.
But then when it came time to when the slaves got freed and the Reconstruction period came, you had this situation with the sharecroppers, for example, where the sharecroppers went through hell and high water with always owing the landowner. They could never get out of debt and make money because they always wind up owing. And then you had the situation with the 40 acres and a mule, where Black people never got 40 acres and a mule, and where you got Black people that's now in 2017 who are behind the curve, and who you got a race right here, and the Black people, the darkest especially, is starting all the way right here, and the white people all the way up here, and we can never catch them. This is what I'm talking about, people. This is the real meat of it. I'm glad you have the courage to come on here and say this, because
I do feel nervous still even talking about it. Yeah,
because I feel like what you're doing is helping.
I hope it does.
It is helping, because this is what I've been saying to people. This is the meat and heart of what I do. People, y'all think y'all know. Y'all think y'all understand, but what's really deep in my heart, and what I'm really driving in at here, is the economics of it. The economics, because we are way behind. And I see this even with myself. I come from an impoverished, disadvantaged background, and I'm Black as hell. I'm dark as hell. So I'm gonna have to work 10 times harder. And you got people out here that's doing it. It's insane. It's not fair. It's inhumane. It's a question of human rights, if you ask me. And like I said, I'm sorry. This is like, it's really like, as you said, you was feeling emotional. Now I'm getting emotional, y'all.
No, you know what?
Y'all judge me. I don't care. I'm getting emotional. Yeah. Because y'all got to realize it's about the people that's going to come after us. What about them? You got to think about the generation that's going to come behind you. Yeah. What are you going to leave them? You want them to be homeless and poor and drunks and druggies in the street? That's
why we have to really fight. I think everybody has to really stand together. But what you said about having to work 10 times harder, that's interesting too, because I don't know if anybody knows, I had a car accident at 16 and became paralyzed. So I am in a wheelchair. And now I've had a lot of home health nurses. Now, when I lived in Chicago, 99% of the nurses that came to my home were Black, just because of where I lived. And I did have white nurses. Right. And I swear to God, this is my experience. I am not trying to like kiss ass, because I've been accused of that so many times, but this is the truth. I started to really notice the Black nurses that I had. Damn, man, they were so fucking amazing. They were like over and beyond, just so good at their job. They saved my life. I'm not kidding you. And I got really close to one of them. And we were talking, and I said to her, her name was Sharon, and I said, I don't know if this is a coincidence. I said, but it seems like the Black nurses I have that are so good compared to the white nurses, they're on another level. They're on a higher level. And she said just what you said. She said, Kim, we've had to work harder. We've had to work harder to prove ourselves. And I was like, damn, yeah, that made sense. It was the truth. That was my experience too. I said, whoa. Yeah, because they were really on another level. But how awful. How we have somebody that is so qualified, but they might not get the job, or they might not, get any opportunity because of being Black. That's crazy to me. People are really screwing themselves when you think about it.
Yeah, I've seen it happen so many times. Oh man, I've seen it happen so many. I fought against it. There was a company that I worked for in LA, Factor Direct. I don't care. I'll say their name. I got no big problem. I don't care. I have nothing to lose. I'm honest. They did it. When I found out they was doing it, I called it out. I fought for the Black women. The Black women, some of them didn't even like me. Why? I don't know, but I love them.
You were making trouble, probably.
Yeah, I fought for them to be supervisors. When I myself got into a supervisory role, I fought, because I said, this is a question of fairness to me. Everything is always a question of fairness to me. Everything is a question of ethics to me. And that's a human thing. That's, to me, is not a Black thing, a white thing. It's, are you fair? Are we going to do stuff based on, if this is the qualification, why are you putting someone else in this position because that they're white or they're your friend. It's all about fairness. And I saw this go on in this company. So I've seen it. I've seen it in corporate America, and it always turned my stomach, because what I can't stand is people being treated unfairly.
Oh, let me take it
fairly.
Let me take it a step farther. I haven't thought about this in a long time. I forgot about this now. I don't know if you know about anything like this going on. This might trip you out if you don't. So when I was first home and my dad's insurance had approved for nursing care, so they come through agencies, right?
Right.
The owner of the agency. Now, this was the owner of the agency. Okay. White woman called me up. Well, you know what? It might have been when she came to the house to like get my case started. She asked me, was I okay? And I was only 16 at the time too. So she should have really been asking my parents. Well, she shouldn't have asked anybody this. Was it okay for them to send a black nurse to the house?
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
if this woman, this is a nurse?
This was the owner of the nursing company. And yes, she was a nurse.
Did she have okay, so most nurses have some type of degree. So if you have a degree, sometimes they make you take like a Black Studies course. And if she took a Black Studies course, or even a course that deals with American history, then she would know that historically Black women, African female slaves, took care of white children. I mean, she would know that.
Well, let me tell you,
complete idiot.
It came from apparently a lot of the white families would get mad if they sent a black nurse, and they would call the company and say, don't send us black nurses. I am not kidding you. And I'm telling you, that still happens, because the company I have now, well, it's mainly Mexican people where I live now. But my caregiver, I don't have nurses anymore, I have caregivers, and my caregiver told me that our supervisor asked her, well, I actually had suggested to her, and this was a Mexican woman talking to my Mexican caregiver. She goes, hey, I got this white lady that I think, you know, Kim would probably like because she's white. And my caregiver knows me. So my caregiver told her, actually, you would be better off sending somebody Black or Mexican. You know, don't, you know, that's how Kim feels, you know, and that is how I feel, because I know that the Mexican people, especially here where I'm at, don't get any chance, and the Black people as well. So I'm the first to tell them, you know, send me. I don't think I've even had a white caregiver since I've been in Arizona. But yeah, that is the honest to God truth, and it still happens to this day. And you still got white families calling up the companies, telling them, don't send me a Mexican, don't send me a Black person. That's honest to God truth, man. It is still
systemic economic darkism. That's what I call it. Because that if you telling them not to send a Black person, then guess what?
They're okay with it. But see, they're okay.
The opportunity of a dark-skinned person. And somebody, I'm sorry to keep saying saving me, but I just wanted to read this to you, Kim.
Oh, okay.
She said, a dark-skinned employee was sent home for being dark-skinned. Patient didn't want her, so they sent a lighter Black.
Yes, girl. Yes, girl. Yes. You don't know how much. Now with the home health medical, that happens all the time. One woman got one of the patients on video on her phone because she was screaming at the woman that she didn't want her touching her with her dark hands. Yeah. The company didn't believe the caregiver, and the caregiver got it on the phone. Yeah. Now, what I honestly think, you know, these companies should not allow the families to do that. They should say, hey, look, you cannot tell us not to send you somebody based on their skin color. So the companies need to stop that. I mean, that's crazy to me. Yeah, that is insane.
Do y'all hear this, people? Y'all that's watching this?
Happens a lot.
This is a white lady, and I'm not disrespecting you by calling you a white lady. I'm saying a broader phrase that people understand clearly. This is a white lady telling y'all point blank, inside information, telling you straight up, and coming on here again. I got respect for you because you're showing your face.
Thank you.
This is what it is, folks.
Well, I'm not scared anymore, and I feel like I have a lot to make it up to do because I didn't always show my face. You know, I didn't always speak up. I feel very bad about that. You know, I hate, I harbor a lot of guilt over that because I should have been speaking up all along. At some point it was dangerous though. You know, I'll tell you what white racist people hate more than black people is somebody like me. I'm white trash in their eyes, you know?
Because you're exposing the truth.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling them they're wrong and they don't think they're wrong. See, that's the problem. They don't think they're wrong. They really don't. You know, that's the bad thing.
This is just like, I mean, this is not scripted, people. We did not have no conversation about what we was gonna talk about. And so what some of the stuff that you say, I'm shocked.
There's things that I haven't thought about in a long time. It's really coming to my mind now, and I'm grateful that it is. I had forgotten about that whole nursing situation. But yeah, that's probably the most predominant as far as economic, you know, Darkism. That's probably where I've seen it the most within the nursing facilities and the home care agencies.
Yeah, if they came, I'm just over here. Y'all see me looking over here. I know y'all see me. I'm paying attention. I'm just looking at the comments. So that's what I'm doing, just for people that might be wondering. Oh my God, I gotta keep up with the time.
Oh, I know. This is 3:48.
We might have to do a part 2 to this because
that would be cool.
This is insane. When you again, I was working in education. I taught at St. Pete College American Government for 2 years. I have worked, so I keep thinking, well, when these dark-skinned people get out of college and school, what are their life chances?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to them? This goes. I mean, it's a shame that we have to work harder, and all the hard work we might put in, we may still get knocked out, because this happens to me.
Oh,
this happens to me. It's almost like, don't be born. You better not come from an impoverished background.
Yeah.
You better try to not come from even though you can't control that. Doesn't make any sense. But then you do have dark-skinned people that don't even want to be with other dark-skinned people because they don't want to have dark-skinned children.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Our children go through what they're going through.
Right.
I mean, this is insane that this is completely insane. Just to sit up here and listen to this and hear this, it actually is sickening to me. I mean, it really is.
It is sickening. It is.
I mean,
very sickening. You know, I remember one time too, this I couldn't believe. It was a woman in church. It was the first time and the last time I went to this church. This was in Naperville, Illinois. If anybody knows where Naperville, Illinois is, you can't get much whiter than Naperville. And I'm in the church, and this white lady, she starts talking to me, and I guess there were some black people moving in, and she says to me, I couldn't believe this, because she did not know who I was. And this is in a church. She says to me, yeah, you know, the neighborhood, it's getting dark. The neighborhood is getting dark. And
wait, can you repeat that? Because you caught me off guard. Let me shut up.
I fell out of my chair on that one, okay? I was so disgusted, and I thought, wow, man, really, in a church?
Can you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, she told me the neighborhood was getting dark. She goes, yeah, the neighborhood's getting a little dark, huh? And that was I don't even think she introduced herself to me. And that was like the first thing that came out of her mouth. And I'm like, so you really want me to sit here and agree with you on this? And but that, again, that was another time I didn't speak up, mainly because at that point I was in shock, because I'm in a church. And I'm like, why would she even say that to me? I could have had a black husband at home. Why would she say that to me? She didn't know me. But I've come to realize they associate every white person they think thinks like them, you know, and just the fact that they don't realize it's wrong, and they should be holding their head in shame, not the people that they're bullying, you know. Yeah, it's making me, I don't know, it's sickening. And I told you about my caregiver. You know, she's got the 2 granddaughters, and the other mother-in-law is a white lady, and the second granddaughter came very dark-skinned, and the grandma won't hold her, won't touch her, and it's just like, oh my God. And now the baby is...
Grandmother won't touch the dark skin. The dark skin.
Yeah. And when she saw the baby come out like that, she said to the daughter-in-law, she goes, she looks like you. I wasn't there. This is my caregiver told me this, and I
She's
said,
a bitch. She's a bitch.
She's
a bitch.
She's disgusting.
I was trying not to curse throughout our whole conversation, but she's a bitch. Because that's child. Yeah. She's a bitch. I wouldn't want her to touch my kid. In fact, it's the opposite. She's not good enough to touch the kid. In fact,
damn right.
She's a contaminated one.
And it's a beautiful little baby too. Yeah, she's a beautiful little baby. And my caregiver just told me, she goes, she still hasn't touched baby Nova. And I said, oh my God. And then, so we're talking, she was born in October a year ago. So she's more than a year now. And she has not touched that little girl. Yeah. So, but the little white girl she touches, they're the same blood now. One came out with light skin, one came out with dark skin. And then that's what the factor is there, that she won't touch the darker one. But yeah, she's just nuts. Yeah, it's true. Darkism is that word. Darkism says it all.
She's a bitch.
You know what?
Sorry, y'all.
You know what? Darkism is a level above racism. When you think, you got your racism and then you got darkism,
Exactly. They're like brother and sister. Darkism and racism is husband and wife.
Yeah.
Brother and sister. I mean, this is terrible. You're not gonna touch the baby because the baby is dark skinned. That couldn't be me. Because I would let her ass have it. Oh God, yeah. I would let her have it. She would, by the time I'm done with her, she'll be running from me. Because I wouldn't even
That's what I always tell my caregiver. I've never met the woman personally. I just hear these stories secondhand, and I don't think I could be in the same room with that woman.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. Oh, wow. God. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you're exposing it tonight. You're exposing it tonight. And y'all, I just want y'all to know I'm enjoying this conversation. I appreciate everybody for taking the time to tune into this conversation. A white lady exposing darkism. There y'all have it. And you done gave like a bunch of stories, concrete, behind the scenes, insider knowledge.
Yeah, and I have not exaggerated. I want everyone to know that this I have not exaggerated. In fact, I've probably held back a little.
You can't make stuff up like that. Who comes on the internet in front of the world and shows their face and make up stuff? That don't make no sense.
No.
So, but yeah, I definitely, I gotta get out of here at 6 o'clock. It is like 5:53. I'm sorry, y'all. I normally stay longer, and y'all know I love to talk, but tonight I gotta get out of here because I got another thing I gotta do at 6 o'clock. I gotta get started for. But man, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on here. And again,
I thank you too. I
appreciate it. It's been eye-opening.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off here?
I think we should definitely do a part 2 when you're ready, if you would like. I'm going to try to talk to my caregiver about coming on too, because she's got stories like you wouldn't believe.
I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that. I hope y'all thinking about this. Everybody that's out there watching that don't believe that this is real, or it's all in somebody's head, or someone is crazy.
And think about the origins, people. Think about where it came from, because whoa, that says it all right there. It's got an origin that's so deep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Remember to go donate to the Dark Skin is Beautiful. Go donate to the Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign. Yeah. Also, get an autographed copy of the book. Go to my website, RashidaStrober.com, folks, and get your book and donate to the campaign. I cannot stress that enough. Anyone that donates, you will get an electronic copy of A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. Now, you can buy this one and get it signed, paperback copy. But if you donate, you will get a copy, an electronic copy of A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. So thank you guys for watching. I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Rashida.
And thank you, Kim. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Good night.
Bye, guys.